Jerry, what do you guys need to do differently to support Brian and to end the 29-year drought that you guys have between going to a Super Bowl?
Well, I think we, you always have to evaluate, where it didn't go right last year. And obviously, we're also evaluating where it didn't go right, in terms of, this drought that people say we're in terms of a championship game or a Super Bowl. And, we just have to continue to make this roster better. It'll certainly be something that Jerry, myself, Will and his staff, and now Coach Shoddy and his staff, we'll sit down and take a look and see what we have to do better.
Well, good morning, friends. Mark Holmes here with my buddy Cowboy Joe Boo, Bucky the damn beaver, and the funky chicken, and of course, you guys. And as always, I want to say thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report. Without you guys, as well as you ladies, you know that this literally does not work. Hope you're all having a great day. It is going to be a beautiful day weather-wise as we get closer and closer. Today is July 9th, already July 9th. 28 is the opening day of training camp. Now, Stephen Jones says, player acquisition is a 365-day-a-year job. And, we're always looking to find players, value adds that can help our roster and make us a better team. We trust the process and we're always looking to get better. Okay. So enter Von Miller part two. Yesterday, kind of said, because let's be clear here. We're in the middle of nothingness. Okay. We are antimatter right now as far as everything going on in the NFL. There's nothing going on. We're antimatter. There's nothing, well, let me say, nothing that anybody cares about. We've got Brandon Ayuk, of course, who's melting down, who now, after basically messing up his relationship with JD, telling him that he's got to stop running behind his mama, now is begging him to call him. Pick up the phone. The money's on the line. You mean your money? Your money? JD's like, my money's fine, man. I ain't got nobody pissed off at me. I ain't got nobody pissed off at me. What you got over there, Cat? Hold on. Trey? What is it the cat's over there playing with on the floor? Huh? Little tiny? A little ball? It's not going to choke on it, right? Well, over here? No. Over here. No, there's something else over here. Okay. Right there? You just about stepped on it. Yeah. What is... Okay, the other thing that you okay, I'm just checking. All right, we got a cat, and we're like newborn parents, okay? Scared of everything that might happen to the cat. You got to make sure you put the food on one side of the bowl so it don't get whisker fatigue. Okay, I'm sure cat owners that have a lot of cats are like, what? Man, I slap that shit in the bowl and call it a day. But be that as it may. Brandon Ayuk melting down because he's talking about JD's mama. Okay, you don't talk about mama. So there's nothing really going on. But here's the thing. In 22, some of y'all have a short memory, but see, I'm a guy who loves history. Okay, I love studying history because things happen in the past that can help you with what's going on in the future. And one of the things that happened in the past was during the 22 offseason, Miller has long had a desire to play for his hometown franchise. Oh, shit! During his 22 free agency, this is before he went to Buffalo. I mentioned this last night, although I did not make my video live because I'm an idiot and fell asleep. he directly called former teammate and Cowboys legend DeMarcus Ware to gauge Dallas's interest. Ware highly endorsed the move, envisioned a dynamic pass rush trio alongside Micah Parsons and DeMarcus Ware. However, the Cowboys were hesitant to bust the bank. Mueller ultimately signed a massive deal with the Buffalo Bills. So, it's not like this is anything new. We know Von Miller would like to play in Dallas. Okay? The Cowboys are like, nah, great player, coming off a Super Bowl, wants a lot of money. We look for value adds here, and, Von Miller getting that Super Bowl ring and everything else, he signed a big contract with the Buffalo Bills, and he proceeded not to have a good season with them that first year. And so we look at it and say, we dodged the bullet because we would have been paying him like Randy Gregory money. And, we didn't want to pay Randy Gregory, and he was definitely a lot younger than what he was. So, we look at this and say, we like cheap. We definitely like cheap. So that's where we are now. Hence, that time with Buffalo Bill. Let's go back here and see what has happened since he signed with Buffalo and things after the Super Bowl. Pulling up his stats as we speak here. So, in okay, so he signed with Buffalo that first year and had 8 sacks. In 23, had 0 sacks. And then the last year he was in Buffalo, he had 6 sacks. So when you look at it and say, yeah, he signed a big, fat, juicy contract and got 14 sacks for Buffalo. Wasn't real good. But after admitting that he chose the wrong team with the Washington Commanders, no disrespect to the Commanders because, of course, they don't deserve any disrespect. He was looking at it and saying, damn, I should have picked the Seattle Seahawks. So now he seemingly is setting his sights on the Cowboys. He had 9 sacks last year with the Commanders. Played all 17 games. Now, we're not going to say that Von Miller is an every down player at this point, and we don't know what he is looking for as far as money-wise. But here's what happened with RJ. RJ was talking with him, and RJ?
You've always kind of been linked. That's always just been, maybe that's something you have fun with. Maybe it's just the media doing our job, but what is that to you? Is it a real thing? Is it just kind of a fun thing you talk about with friends and family?
Man, you know what? It would be great to be a Dallas Cowboy. Raising Cane's is a sponsor of the Dallas Cowboys. It's great to have an owner and founder like Ty Graves to invest, in the future generation of football. Todd has become, a great friend of mine. We had a ton of fun, working together this year. We went to the Kentucky Derby, F1. We went to the Croatia World Cup where they played England. Ty had a suite at Cowboy Stadium. It was amazing. He always brings, people together, and it's always great to have great experiences like that with Todd and all of the interesting people that he brings around. He's been amazing. I had a blast at the Fanatics flag football game as well with Todd Graves. I think he had a team. I was on the Canes team, so it's just been amazing, and playing for the Dallas Cowboys that even further our relationship with Raising Cane's and Todd. So I've always I grew up here in Dallas. I've always had a special place in my heart for the Dallas Cowboys. If I played for the Dallas Cowboys this year, I only have to drive 20 minutes to work. My mom and dad, this will be the first time.
I'd save on gas.
Dad, I don't have to fly to every single game. My mom has been to every single game that I've ever played in, and she'll be able to drive to all the home games. And, I got so many family members here. My kids are here. My family is here. Girlfriend is here. Everybody's here. It'll just be easy to work it out. So you never really know. We talked about that magnetic field in College Station. Maybe, the magnetic field here in Dallas get me there. So I would love to play for the Dallas Cowboys. It'd be amazing.
That'd be cool. And I would not be doing my job as a professional if I did.
Okay, so it's safe to say that Von Miller basically is begging the Cowboys to sign him. I mean, that pretty much is, hey, look, I'd only have to go 20 minutes. So we must live close to where Brian Schottenheimer does, because Brian Schottenheimer bought a house that's closer in because the 30-minute commute was too long. So I'd only have to drive. Look, I wouldn't have to pack up anything. I got everything here. I'm ready to go. You know, everything would be perfect. My mom, Jerry, look, I got another ticket sale for you. My mom has not missed a game, any of my games ever. I can guarantee you, you provide a ticket for the family? Okay, so it's going to cost Jerry. Okay. But he has done the sales job of sales jobs. Instead of calling DeMarcus Ware, engaging his interest, he's flat out and gone through and said, here I am. I want to finish my career in my hometown. I literally live 20 minutes away from the facilities. I had a good year last year. I had 9 sacks. I've got a chicken company here. Chicken company. You know, and I'd like to try some of this kitchen chicken because, you know, that's like, you know, no antibiotics and all that stuff that's going on. Damn cat is into everything. Cat, leave that cord alone. It's like having kids. Now, here's the problem. We're talking about the Cowboys. We have players all the time that want to play for the Cowboys. Contrary to what Big Spank Dog always says, nobody wants to play in Dallas. Well, I can say that Von Miller, who was just in Washington, says, you know what? I don't want to go back to Washington. He's not begging Washington to re-sign him. Is he? Is he, Big Spank Dog? He's like, I chose the wrong team. I chose the wrong team. And now he turned around 2 days later and says, hey, I want to get with them boys. Unfortunately, the lovely and talented Jane Slater just, of course, messed it up for us. Let's go on to what Jane Slater said. Cowboys reporter Jane Slater doesn't have positive update when it comes to the team's possibility of pursuing Von Miller. There seems to be some momentum building for the Dallas Cowboys to pursue veteran edge rusher Von Miller, but one insider is pumping the brakes on that. According to NFL's Jane Slater is reporting that Miller is not expected to sign with the Cowboys or is in talks with them currently. Thanks, Jane. Breaking more hearts again. Slater went on to quote tweet that post about Von Miller on X with a GIF showing she's pouring cold water on the idea of the veteran going to the Cowboys, but included, for now. So you're telling me there's a chance? Yes! Okay. Miller did an interview with RJ of Blogging the Boys on Monday and made it very clear he'd love to play for the Cowboys. It would be great to be a Dallas Cowboys stated. Well, we've already watched all of that. So, yeah. And he posted a picture of himself wearing Cowboys gear and a shh emoji. This is another case of, I'd like to play the Cowboys, great publicity. If I go there, I can be talking about my chicken farm and stuff where I'm the biggest chicken farmer in Texas and things. I don't have to move and uproot my family and things like that. I can play for my hometown team. My mom doesn't have to fly to go to games. I can save on gas, and I can play, in with the Cowboys with Christian Parker. For him, that's great. The thing is with the Cowboys, they never seem willing to kick the tires on ideas like this. And I'm not going to say that Von Miller is, Von Miller of 5 years ago. But to have a guy, depending on what he's looking as far as contract demands are, this may be a case of he's like, you know what? The things I can get from the Cowboys that I can't get elsewhere. One, no state income taxes. That makes my pay for every one of those games I play at home, more profitable. 2, I don't have to look at paying for someplace else to be during the season. I don't have to move somewhere else, right? I can stay at the house I'm in. 3, all my family's here. This is where I grew up. This is home. And it'd be nice to be able to play here. So you have all of these reasons why taking less money here may be more valuable than going elsewhere. 4, it's the Dallas Cowboys. You can guarantee that I will be shown a lot of love by the Dallas Cowboys and the fan base. I will be on TV constantly. I can build my brand for after football. These are things that you're not going to get if you go to, say, New York Jets, or you go to Tampa, if you go to the Raiders. There's so many reasons why you could look at it and say, yeah, this is a good thing for you. And see, this is where you could look at it and say, if you're the Cowboys, we have an advantage in negotiating on this because we know he wants to be here. He wants to be here. And this is where you might have been able to get him for less money than he went for Buffalo because of the same things. So I can't tell you what the Cowboys are thinking because I don't know what the Cowboys are thinking because I don't think the Cowboys know what they're thinking. But you should be at least entertaining this idea. Are we going to look at this and say that everybody we have on our roster right now, that we're going to say that Sam Williams is better than Von Miller? Are we going to say that? Are we saying that in a rotation that Von Miller doesn't make that defensive front with his experience and the ability to teach the players a better team? No, you can't. You can't make that argument. In the same way, Clowney didn't make the team. I mean, our defense was awful, but can you imagine if we hadn't had Clowney and his 8.5 sacks? So thank you, Jane Slater, for killing that dream. The other question here, we have bunches of questions, and here's one that I'm actually happy about what's going on. We had Mozzie Smith, who just didn't work out. We just don't know what happened with Mozzie. Mozzie just didn't seem to have the desire to be great. And I had lots of hopes for Mozzie. I wanted Mozzie to be great. Just didn't happen. One thing I could say, worry about another first-round pick for the Cowboys is Tyler Guyton. You can't say Tyler Guyton isn't trying to put in the work right now. He understands that I have not led up to expectations. He's been working his ass off these last few weeks before training camp. And let's check this out. Let's look at this. With Lane Johnson here, he's worked out. The best. Okay, that's not the only one. And so add to that, after working out with Lane Johnson.
Yesterday, we worked on being able to recruit, all right, root our feet, engage, depart, and maintain. So now we want to add in that speed to power tight hand bull, the speed to power long arm, and then the speed, all right, to like kind of the ghost dip and rip.
So now it's 7. So in the corner, stay back.
Love to see it. Finito. Great work, fellas.
2 tones, and nobody cares until they.
Yesterday, we worked on
all right,
being able
so
to
we
recruit.
got Tyler Guyton.
All right, root.
We got Tyler Guyton is at least putting in the work. Now, there's a lot of people out here who are worried about the blind side and things. I look at it and say, if he can stay healthy, he can get some consistency, hopefully, this year. And that he should be better than he was. Just this. At least he's got Tyler Smith right next door to him. That will help out. And if the Cowboys offense is balanced, that helps to slow down the rush. So we'll wait and see what we get with him. So we are closer than close to training camp. We are 19 days away, and then we'll have some real talk to be able to go through. I'm working my ass off to try and get everything done before training camp opens up, so that way we can go ahead and have an incredible time here. Whew. I'm excited, and I can't wait. Let's go from yesterday, Good Morning Football, and get their take on the Cowboys offense.
Well, from Italy to Dallas, shall we? Yes. A direct flight to check in on the Cowboys. And with that, a new season brings new hope, at least if you are a Cowboys fan. And from the state of Texas, we are joined now, of course, by Jane Slater, who is truly, as we were joking before the show, she is going to carry us the first couple minutes here and make sure we have the Cowboys understood up and down, front and back, as we continue to look ahead to 2026. Jane, good morning to you. First of all, great to see you.
Great to see you guys. I mean, Dallas isn't exactly Italy. We have beautiful Lake Louisville that Isaiah knows well, and Lake Ray Hubbard, but glad you guys are enjoying some of your vacations too.
Right? Jane, the Cowboys are looking to get back to the postseason, as they always do after a 2-year absence. What has become the biggest headline into training camp as Brian Schottenheimer once again enters this year as his head coach of this team?
Yeah, Jamie, this is going to be the 11th year of me covering the Dallas Cowboys for the NFL Network. And I can't think of a training camp heading into that we really haven't been talking about significant contract issues. The Cowboys, believe it or not, got things done in the offseason. And more specifically, George Pickens signed that franchise tag, and he will be reporting to camp. By all accounts, he was there, of course, at mandatory minicamp. He told me he doesn't expect any problems. We'll get more to him in a second. But I think one of the other things is these are the type of coaching staff that likes to go back to the board. What did they want to improve on from last year's camp? And Brian Schottenheimer said it was a more intentional training camp. He expects to have the guys doing more work in pads. The staff has adjusted their ramp up and recovery periods to improve conditioning. And so, you know, when you look at Dallas, it's unlike a lot of other teams. A lot of people choose to live in the Dallas area. They're at the facility in the offseason. For the most part, they had everyone in the building during OTAs, with the exception of George Pickens, got him back for mandatory minicamp. So you guys know this. There's typically 2 installs when we talk about the offseason. They had a really good first install, so it seems like they're going to be way ahead this year as they implement this second install when they get to training camp.
Jane, obviously we were down there in D-Town. We know all about these cats. Dak Prescott balled out last year, 30 touchdowns, only 10 interceptions, 67% completion percentage, had a heck of a year. What exactly is he focused on trying to improve upon as he goes into the 2026 season?
Well, I love that I've got you here because I want you to stay popped up in this double box for me, because this is also going to be a question that I have for you.
Okay.
You know, when I talked to the training staff or a lot of his coaches, I said, where is Dak Prescott still looking to improve in year 11? Obviously, he's talked about the footwork in the offseason, and that's something that he's proud of. But the quarterback is running more from under center. And what have you seen from him when he's running it out of shotgun?
Yeah, so the big difference for Dak Prescott in that system is obviously Schottenheimer and the ability to be able to have the play action. Dak Prescott is probably one of the more efficient play action passers in the game today. So if you're running him out of
what it does defensively, when you have a quarterback under center and there's a really good run game that the Dallas Cowboys that had last year, that brings those safeties up. And you saw in that highlight that bomb to CeeDee Lamb, the bomb to George Pickens. That's where that comes in, right? So when you have Prescott under center defensively, now I have to be able to respect the run game. Now, You did mention, Jane, that everybody was at the facility a lot in the offseason, except for one guy, George Pickens. Now, we know George Pickens will play under the franchise tag in 2026 for the Dallas Cowboys. But what do they have in store for him coming up this season?
Well, I hope this isn't a freezing cold take. I know the guys love to monitor what we're saying here in the offseason. But, I've said that my experience with George Pickens has been very different than, say, what Pittsburgh media had to deal with, or maybe some of the headlines that we had coming out of there. He talked to us this offseason, said the reason why he wasn't there in the OTAs was simply put, his agent told him not to. His agent told him, get there when you have to be. As his agent explained to me, he goes, Jane, if you don't have to work on Saturdays, do you show up to work? And I said, I mean, not necessarily. I get where they're coming from on that, but it doesn't seem like he is interested in being a headache for this team. I even pulled him off the side. I said, look, fool me once, don't fool me twice. We had Micah Parsons show up to camp after he was going through some of his issues with his contract, and then all of a sudden he had a back issue. Do you see any lingering injuries that might pop up? And he said, absolutely not. He is ready to be there. In fact, if you're concerned about what his conditioning looked like, he worked out with the guys this offseason. He said that he was in their houses. And he said the reason why it was easy for him to show up to camp was because when you're in the homes of these guys and you know how bad they want it, and these guys are locked in, he said you can't help but not be a part of that. And if there's any indication of that, I mean, it was the first day of practice. He didn't compete in the team drills. It was the individuals. But Dak had a really nice go ball for him. And I tell you, he had a toe tap catch right there along the sidelines and did a little shimmy after when I asked him about that. He says, just glad to be back. So that gives you an idea of his mindset. He truly is excited to come to Oxnard, and he's letting this whole business aspect of the deal take care of itself as the season goes on.
Ah, man, Jane, I don't know. George Pickens not a problem. I'll believe it when I see it. I'll believe it when I see it.
He's gonna break the mold.
Yeah, but we're staying offense. All right, we're staying offense all day here. So let's talk about it. This Cowboys offense is one of the most potent offenses in the league last season. What areas do they still need to improve on? What kind of identity are they going to have for the upcoming season?
Well, red zone execution is really an area they've got to focus on. It's gotten better from in years past, but Clayton Adams, their new OC, has really talked about also going back to that board. What do they need to focus on? And he said for him, it really is an issue of, look, they had a lot of self-inflicted wounds, especially when they got in that red zone. He said they need to use a better job of using the full width of the field. When there's only 5 or 6 yards of vertical space to work with, he said, you got to work on more of that lateral. But Javonte Williams in the run game, we saw him come along. And so they think by moving him around, keeping CD on the outside, but not really knowing where Pickens is going to be, they think that that could really be a chess piece for them on offense. So bottom line is they've got some wrinkles up their sleeve, and it seems like they're excited and they're ready to go. And more importantly, I think going up against this defense is going to make everyone smarter. I know we're going to talk about that a little bit more in the next hour.
Yeah.
There you go. All right, some thoughts on the Dallas Cowboys. Alrighty, good people, as always, I appreciate you all, and we'll see what we see as far as Von Miller goes. Have a good one. Peace out.
You speak any English?